Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain and welcome back. Now, today I want to talk about something that's kind of counter to stuff that we've covered over the last, over a month now really, last long while, which is where we've been talking about a lot about relationships and around interactions around it, things that you can do to improve yourself, managing your expectations in relationships, all that kind of thing. The one thing that I've not talked about in a fair old while is being single, and yeah, it's important to talk about. Why? Because there are a lot of people who just quite happy being single, don't want to be in a relationship, or at least don't want to be in a relationship right now. And it's important to acknowledge this because you've got a lot of things out there at the moment going, oh, well, everyone wants to be in a relationship, right? And so we're going to throw these things at them, we're going to make these suggestions and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, what it really comes down to is that, there have been studies. One I actually came across the other day that had taken data from Reddit, of all places, and scrubbed through the data, and because of the bias of the people that were looking at it, they had gone, oh well, the so many reasons as to why these guys that we threw up on this Reddit post about, oh, why aren't you in a relationship? And they were like, oh well, the top reason was that they don't feel that they're attractive enough. The next one is that they're not confident enough, and so on and so forth. And it was like, well, that was because they had actively ignored or separated out the results that said don't want a relationship. And it was really interesting to just kind of glance through and kind of work through, because there's this slant towards, well, everyone wants to be in a relationship, right? That's the normal thing. And the thing is, being single and being happy being single and having a plan that you want to adhere to doesn't necessarily also mean that you don't want a relationship. And that's something that I just wanted to talk about today, because being happy when single is so important to actually getting into a relationship. If you're happy when you're single, you're able to entertain yourself, you're able to be confident by yourself, you're able to operate as a fully adult individual. You have your own life, your own way of doing things, your own friends, and your own kind of place in the world. Yeah, that's very much part of what being happy whilst single is. And I in the gap between relationships, it took me a significant amount of time to get my head around the being happy when single, because it got to a point when I didn't have enough to distract me. Life had become very mundane. Life had become just the same stuff over and over again. Even with the huge variations in some of the places that I was working, it still just kind of trundled along, and it wasn't anything that was really impacting me. It wasn't distracting me anymore. And so, at those points, the loneliness that had been held off by those distractions, by those other things that I was doing, really started to eat away at me a bit more. And that was some tough going at times. Feeling very lonely, feeling very upset that I couldn't break out of that mundane environment to find a person to enjoy that companionship with, and all that kind of thing. And that's tough, but it's once you get past that and realise that actually you're the only person that you're never going to be without, that looking after yourself is possibly the most important thing, because if you don't look after yourself, you won't be around long enough, and if you're not around long enough, then you won't ever meet anyone. So it all comes down to that looking after yourself, being happy by yourself. Yeah, sometimes it can be tough. I miss Hannah an awful lot. If I had the option, I would spend an awful lot more time with her. We would be in the same place more often. rather than being the rather not huge distance, but the inconvenient distance that sits between us most of the time. And it's one of those things where I can go, yeah, that's what I would prefer, that's what I would want. But when it comes to being by myself, I can entertain myself, I can take care of myself, I can make sure that the next time she sees me, I'm in a good situation for her to see me in, and so it all comes down to being able to manage yourself, having good expectations of yourself, which is something that we touched on in the videos on expectations, where you need to treat yourself as human, not expect too much from yourself, not expect too much from other people. You need to understand that no one's perfect, no one's going to live up to those high standards. You need to kind of focus on giving yourself that little bit of extra leeway. And so when it comes to being single, but being open to a relationship, wanting a relationship, whatever else, or just not wanting a relationship at all, who's going to be the person that's more attractive to others, that's going to have more fun, that's going to be able to engage with other people more? Ultimately, it's going to be the person who's happier in themselves, who's more confident, who's not awkward, just enjoying life, by themselves or with other people. It makes being with those other people either a much more positive treat, or it becomes that optional thing where it's like you can either have a really great time with these people, or if you're not feeling it, you don't have to, rather than it being this need that you have to have those other people around and all that kind of thing, which gnaws at you when those people aren't there. It just kind of erodes you, breaks you down over time if those people are no longer present. And we don't want that. We don't want that at all. That's a sad situation when you can't be happy by yourself, so that you start to get worn down by your own wants and desires and things like that. That's just not a happy way to live. So to those of you out there who are single and who are happy being single, congratulations to you. To those of you who are out there who are single and maybe want something more, the first thing that I can suggest, the best piece of advice that I probably would have given myself if I could, would be the first person you need to impress to the extent that they want to hang around you more is you. Be happy being by yourself. Enjoy being by yourself. Because then if you enjoy being with you, then why wouldn't other people enjoy being with you? It's all around kind of making you the best version of you that you can. And that can be to whatever criteria you decide. And that's by far what possibly the most important thing I could probably say to myself, my younger self. Be happy with being by yourself, be happy with being you. Because also, once you reach that space, there are still going to be people that dick you around. There's still going to be people that upset you. There's still going to be ways that you upset yourself. But if you're able to then just still, rather than loathing yourself, rather than hating yourself whilst you're by yourself with yourself, if you're able to go, yeah, I really pissed myself off right then, but I can, it's just me, it's just another day, time to go home, have something to eat, chill out by myself, enjoy my own company in that way instead, because at least I can rely on myself to be good company like that. It makes a much bigger difference than you'd maybe think. But anyway, guys, just a short video on that today, because whilst there's more to say around the interactions, because there's more going on when you've got two or more people involved. I felt like it was important just to, considering we have talked about relationships a lot and touched on a lot of interactive stuff. It was important just to make a point of going, if you're by yourself, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing bad about that. And if you can make the most of it and grow through the experience of just being by yourself, then you should definitely do that, because it'll only ever help down the line with other people as well. But it's important to take note of, I think, because there are a lot of people who go. And I understand this as well, because the norm for humanity is, right, well, you want to reproduce, so we want to see people coupling up, we want to see people generating families. And so, you know, it's why you always get those really inappropriate questions, which I take great umbrage with, I would point out, when people go, so, when are you getting married? When are you having kids? When are this? When are that? You know, when you go to a wedding and someone turns on you because you're a certain age and goes, so when are you getting married? I might chew a few people out when it comes to those kind of questions. But you know, those inappropriate questions come from a place that's literally survival focused. And so they're understandable, they're just really annoying. But again, whilst we want to see that, there's nothing wrong with being by yourself, especially in the modern world. You know, so keep that in mind. Don't lose heart. Don't allow yourself to be pestered or bullied by other people. And you know, as said, just try and keep good company with yourself, because it will make you live a happier time overall, I think. Because there are lots of times that we just find ourselves by ourselves, just alone, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. It just happens. You know, you come into this world from another person, but essentially alone. You don't have any interactions, any bonds to anyone else, and chances are you're going to go out of it by yourself as well, because you're the only one that is going at the time that you go, relatively speaking, within the room or among the people that you were actually joined with in your last moments. And so, whilst that's maybe a grim way of looking at it, if you've got to that point and you're the only person doing that thing, going that way, experiencing that environment through that lens, then you may as well be happy with yourself. You know, we are very good at dividing ourselves into lots of little pieces, and one of the ways that we do that without meaning to is when it comes to being alone, and we aren't happy with being alone by ourselves, with ourselves. You know, so learning how to get along with yourself, be good friends with yourself when you're by yourself, is so important. But anyway, as said, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, guys. A bit more nebulous, so I'm assuming that there are people that have a wide variety of thoughts and opinions on this. If you care to share them, drop them down in the comments. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the video later. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the video later. Take care.